You have probably heard the story of the American soldiers who went down into the dark tunnels of Vietnam, the men they called tunnel rats. But this is not their story. This is the story of the men who were already there, the Vietnamese soldiers below, waiting to strike. By 1966, the Vietnam War had escalated into a brutal conflict defined by American air power. From heavily fortified bases, Americans launched search and destroy missions into a jungle that seemed to fight back. But the real enemy was not in the trees. It was under their feet. The Viet Cong, outnumbered and outgunned, waged a war of engineering and psychology. To them, the jungle floor was not just ground. It was the lid of a weapon, and every patrol was an opportunity to spring the trap. The purpose of these traps was often not to kill, but to injure. A wounded soldier was a greater burden to the enemy than a dead one. He had to be carried, treated, and evacuated, slowing the entire unit and shattering its morale. The true purpose of the trap, however, was psychological. It was designed to funnel the enraged and disoriented patrol into a pre-planned kill zone, where the real ambush would begin. And then, as quickly as it began, silence. The attackers would melt away, not by retreating through the jungle, but by vanishing into the ground itself, leaving the survivors to question their own sanity. How was this possible? Because deep beneath the battlefields lay the Viet Cong's greatest strategic asset, an underground city, a sprawling, multi-level complex stretching for over 120 miles. This was a complete, self-sustaining society built for the singular purpose of war. It had hospitals capable of complex surgery, workshops that turned American scrap into weapons, and kitchens with ingenious ventilation to hide the smoke. But life in this graveyard they called home was a state of permanent, buried warfare, where every breath was a struggle. They were not alone in the darkness. The tunnels were shared with rats, spiders, and venomous snakes, which were often as deadly as any American. And then there was the psychological toll, the constant, suffocating darkness, the stale air, and the thunder of B-52 bombs that threatened to turn their world into a tomb at any moment. To fight these ghosts, the Americans sent their own into the underworld, volunteers, often the smallest in their unit, who traded their rifle for a pistol and a flashlight. They were the tunnel rats. But the moment one entered, the hunter became the hunted. He was now an intruder in a foreign world, stalked by an enemy who had memorized every corner, every shadow, and every secret passage. The labyrinth was designed to confuse. Dead ends, multi-level junctions, and camouflaged doors could disorient even the most experienced soldier, shepherding him towards a pre-planned kill zone. The firefight, when it came, was a brief, deafening, and intensely personal affair, a battle of pure reflex in a space no bigger than a coffin. The few tunnel rats who survived an encounter brought back terrifying testimony, painting a picture of a hellish, almost supernatural labyrinth from which there was no true escape. But for every tactical victory, there was a personal, human cost. To survive the crushing reality of the tunnels, they held on to memories of the world above, a world of sunlight, of open sky, and of family. It was a war of pure endurance, fought hand to hand in the dark, a conflict that many young men, on both sides, would never leave. The soldiers who survived this subterranean hell carried the darkness with them for the rest of their lives, haunted by the ghosts of the men they killed and the comrades they lost. They were two different soldiers from two different worlds, fighting for different causes. But in the end, they were both just young men, trapped in the same hell on opposite sides of the darkness. The tunnels of Vietnam stand today as a silent monument to the human will to survive, and a chilling reminder that in war, sometimes the most brutal battlefields are the ones you cannot see.